Okay, so as I mentioned before, today we're going to be cooking egg redons. The main ingredients are right here. We're going to start with the beef and the onions and cook those. And then once those are sufficiently cooked, we're going to add the broth, which I've already added some of the herbs to. So we've got ground sage, salt and pepper, and then the saffron. And that's what's in here with just simple beef broth. And then once these three ingredients come to a boil, we're going to add rosemary, parsley, cinnamon, and oregano, and then just a little bit of red wine vinegar. And once that's all together, that's going to simmer for about 5 minutes, and then it's ready to eat. Okay, so here obviously, frying pan, not something that they had back in the day. A lot of their food was cooked over fires and cast iron pots and such. So we're going to let this heat up. And once that's heated, we're going to add our beef and our onions. Done first. So now that the onions have been brown, we're going to add the ground beef. Okay, so now the beef is nice and brown, and the onions and everything's all cooked together. We're going to add the broth. With all the seasonings. And we need to bring that to a boil. And since your watch pot never boils, we're going to walk away from it for a little while. Everything's had a nice boil, we're going to add the red wine vinegar. The parsley. We're going to add the oregano. Just a touch of the cinnamon. And the rosemary. And stir that all up. Ooh, foggy lens. And then we're going to add some more broth. And finally, the breadcrumbs. Okay, and everything's going to mix up, and it's going to simmer for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to come back to it, and it should be ready to go. Okay, so five or so minutes have passed now, and everything's boiled down, so it's just the meat, the onions, and the mix, all the seasonings. So this is what the finished product looks like. You get to taste it, because by the time you'll see this, you'll be in the classroom, and you'll have a sample right in front of you. Okay, thank you very much, and enjoy. Okay, so now we're going to start with dessert since we just finished dinner. And the dessert that I'm making today is actually fairly simple. It involves almond milk, honey, sugar, and rice. So I did brown rice, although white rice might actually taste better. So we'll see, we'll experiment with it. But the recipe pretty much calls for all that you want it in taste. Okay. So we're going to take this rice and we're going to put it in a pan. And then it pretty much just calls for the rice on the almond milk. It doesn't really give any measurements, so we're just going to kind of wing it and we'll see how it comes out. I kind of burn the rice, so ignore the chunks. Oops. So we're gonna let that heat, and we're gonna bring it to a boil, and then we're gonna add the honey, and we'll add the sugar, and we'll let it simmer and thicken. And it should come out like a pudding when we're all done. Okay, so we'll be back. Okay, so it came to a boil pretty quickly. So we've got a nice frothy boil with just the rice and the almond milk going. So we're gonna add some honey and some sugar. And I like my stuff sweet, so I'm gonna try to give myself diabetes here. Honey. And mix that in. Some sugar. Now we're gonna let that come to a boil for a couple more minutes. And then we're gonna let it set, and it should thicken after a little while.
We're having meats.
Okay, so it's been boiling for a few minutes now, and it's got a nice bubbly consistency, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat off and let it cool off, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so this is the finished product. And it's more rice than pudding, but I use real rice, so maybe a white rice, maybe some kind of instant rice might actually look a little better. But this was whole grain and scratch rice, so it came out a little bit ricey. Yeah, now for the taste test, Mel.
It's not bad.
You did that hell tilt? It worries me.
It's a little chewy. It's a little chewy. By this is the rice, but it's sweet. It's very sweet.
Okay. And I'd like to say thank you to Mel for being my guinea pig and assistant in the kitchen today. And that's a wrap.